This video is going to shock you on why the African Union, the AU, is only a paper group thing that is capable of nothing. They cannot protect any member country and cannot stand against any outside force. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know the requirements needed to be a member of the African Union? And do you have any idea how AU is funded every year? Well, that's why I'm here. Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because after today, you know why we, the people of Africa, expect so much from the Union, but the Union has nothing special to offer. Be sure to subscribe if you are new here, because this place is all about research and presentations. Let's get into it. There are 55 internationally recognized African states which are 55 members of the AU. This is how you become a member of the AU. You must be geographically located on the African continent, be recognized by a majority of AU member states, and accept the constitutive act of the African Union. Once you are through with all that and pledge to follow the rules governing the Union, congratulations, you are a member of the Union. Now, this is the troubling part, ladies and gentlemen. The African Union, just like any organization or group in the world, needs funding to be effective and sustainable. The problem, however, is this. The African Union is funded through three different means. It is funded by a combination of member state contributions, external partners' pledges and support, and other sources. The first part, which is contribution from member states, should have been the ideal and paramount situation amongst all. But no, it's the second important source of funding. It's rather largely funded by the external partners and other sources. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be the part of our focus in this video. Who or which groups of people or entities form the external partners and the other sources of funding to the AU? Hold on for a second. That information is coming. Before I put that information out there, I want you to first check the list of the budget of the AU. In 2024, AU's annual budget was estimated at just $650 million. What a joke. What a shame. For a union of 55 sovereign states with challenges taller than the Kilimanjaro, this is our budget for 365 days. That translates to just about $1.7 million of funds for expenditure per day in Africa. What a joke. No wonder they are incapable of doing anything. How do you expect to spend a paltry $1.7 million on 55 member states on maintaining our sovereignty and peace and be successful at it? When one terrorist organization is spending more than $10 million a day, which is 8 times higher than our collective group. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nonsensical. And the saddest part of this is that the member states' contributions in the union only account for 40% of the total $650 million budget. I repeat, African member countries' contribution in the AU altogether accounts for $260 million out of the $650 million. That's less than half of the budget. Meaning the external sources and the other sources are the ones who provide the rest of the funding for Africa's budget. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know who these external sources are? I'm coming to that in a minute. But first, note that each African country's contribution to AU is based on a formula that considers the individual country's GDP and population size to determine how much you pay, just as is done at the UN. So, the wealthier countries pay more. This is the common practice. Here is where each member country stands as at last year's contribution. South Africa is Africa's highest contributor. South Africa alone pays 14% of the total 40% of the annual budget. Nigeria is the second largest contributor with 13%. Egypt contributes 10%. Algeria contributes 8%. These are the top 4 biggest contributors to the African Union from Africa. Sao Tome and Principe, Comoros, and Seychelles contributes the lowest of them all, which is less than 0.001% of the budget. Kenya contributes 2%, and Ghana, ladies and gentlemen, contributes less than 0.5% of AU's annual budget. So you see where the problem is now? Now I understand why many things weren't right with my research. Now I understand why the Ghanaian government is silent like the rest of the other African leaders, because they know they are standing on nothing. They have nothing to offer, ladies and gentlemen. The core funding and sustenance of the African Union, the AU, which is about 60% contribution of its budget, is actually provided for by the European Union, the United States of America, China, and the World Bank, in that order. Other countries like the UAE, Turkey, Japan, India, South Korea also contribute to the budget of the African Union for different reasons. These are the countries that actually fund the operations of the AU, whether in peacekeeping, counter-terrorism, infrastructure development, healthcare, or agriculture. They are the ones who bear the maximum cost of the AU, because most times, ladies and gentlemen, many member countries delay. They actually delay in their payments. So expectedly, these Western countries and the World Bank will always have the first say in what goes on in Africa. They will control what goes in and what goes out of the continent. And our leaders can only say, yes, sir, yes, boss. Our leaders may pretend to talk tough, but that's how far they can go. They can only bark, but they can't bite. Just so you know, the European Union's budget for 2023 was $186.6 billion. This was before the war between Russia and Ukraine started. The key spending areas in Europe is on cohesion and regional development, which is accounting for 49.6 billion euros. That is to support poorer European country regions. They spend 40 billion euros on agriculture and rural development among all European country members, and 13.6 billion euros on research and innovation. This explains why they appear to always go forward and we stagnate. Similarly, ladies and gentlemen, ECOWAS, their budget for 2024 is between $400 to $450 million. This is for 15 current member countries. Out of that budget, 40 to 50% is contributed by member countries. The greater chunk of that money is from the same external sources, i.e. European Union, the World Bank, United States, and China. When you turn to the SADC region, which is the Southern African Development Community, SADC, which comprises South Africa, Angola, Tanzania, Zambia, the DRC, and the rest of them, which they total about 60 member countries, they have same contribution structures. Ladies and gentlemen, they have an annual budget of 70 to 90 million dollars, of which the member countries actually only contribute 40%, leaving the chunk of the 60% contribution to the same external sources: EU, World Bank, USA, and China. It's almost the same thing everywhere in Africa. The EAC, which is East African Community, has seven member countries. They have an annual budget of $110 to $130 million. And out of that figure, 50 to 60% is from the contribution of member countries, and the rest is from external sources, same external sources: EU, World Bank, African Development Bank, and the United States of America. These external sources have successfully integrated into every fabric of the African society. They have simply taken a seat. They have taken a permanent seat in every type of union or group or organization within Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the problem we have at hand. Our leaders have over the years sold us out to Western elements. So whenever African leaders meet at AU, ECOWAS, SADC, or EAC meetings, there are EU, World Bank, American, and Chinese representatives also present in those meetings. Our every move is already known by the West and actually dictated by the West. They have put in place puppet president all across Africa and therefore totally in charge of our economies. Our security is in their hands. Even our food supply is with them. Ladies and gentlemen, the time for Africa to rise like the phoenix is here. This shackle of neocolonialism and imperialism has to come off. Captain Ibrahim Traoré and the rest of the Sahel group are showing us the way. Are we going to listen and take our destinies in our hands, or are we going to inquire of our paymasters for their opinions before we act? Ghana can be bigger than Belgium. Nigeria can be better than the UK. South Africa can be more successful than Germany. And Tanzania can be Africa's version of an improved Italy. We must decide our fate, ladies and gentlemen, and we must do it now when the occasion is just right. Stand up, Africa, and demand your spot on the world stage. God bless you for taking time to watch this video. Be sure to subscribe if you are new here. And if you have been watching, please do us that favor. Click on the notification bell for more of such videos. I'll come your way with another one very soon. Until then, God bless Africa. God bless Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso. And it's bye-bye for now.